Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be about the course career finals that you got to take in order to get a certificate. So I'm going to give you guys like all the details on what the exam consists of. And for those of you that don't know, CourseCareers is a 3-week self-paced boot camp that gives you the basic knowledge of information of learning a new career, which is tech sales, or a SDR, which is the sales development role, slash BDR, which is a business development role. So if you're into like trying to break into tech without having any prior experience, I definitely recommend CourseCareers. It only took me about like maybe 4 weeks or a month to complete it and pass the exam. So if that's something that you're into, I'm going to leave the link in my bio, and if you use my code, you could also get some money off, because we're definitely trying to learn, but if we could save money as well, like that's really the goal. Okay, you guys, so let's get into the final exam. The final exam consists of 50 questions, multiple choice, short responses, and audio responses. So that means it's very important for you to enable your camera and your mic in order to take the final exam. Now within these questions, it's going to definitely consist of the key terms, the definitions, a little bit of the reading material, and also some grammar questions. So it's just really important that when you do finish the course, try to take the exam like right away. Don't wait too long, but definitely be very consistent when you're going through the course in general. Like, so if you start the course and you don't start it and you don't come back to it within like 2 weeks, I advise you to really just start from the beginning and just consistently finish it through and then take the exam, especially if you're a person that's coming from not having any experience or prior knowledge of SDR. It could be really easy to just forget everything you just learned. So step number 1 or tip number 1 is to be consistent. In CourseCareers, there's a section where you have a definition guide, and it goes over every term that relates to being an SDR. So when Trevor goes over it, make sure that you're going over each term and understanding the definition that CourseCareers provide, but also the ones that you have difficulties, make sure that you find a way to relate that definition to your personal life. So when it's time for you to take the exam, it'll be easier for you to remember the words that you gave an example for versus trying to remember the exact definition that CourseCareers provide. And also just giving your own example of a definition really just shows that you really understand the material. And if you can explain the definition to another person who doesn't have any experience, I feel like that means you really understand the word on your own at that point. Some of the key terms that I'm going to highlight that I saw in exam a lot was spin. So understanding what spin is, the discovery calls, BANT, ICP, business persona, the sales cycle, research, outreach, discovery, the sale cadence, and the organization structures. Those are some of the definitions that are very important within the final exam, because you're just not like, it is going to be in the multiple choice section, which could be easier to basically get your answer through elimination, but you're also going to have some short responses where you're going to have to explain in detail what some of these key terms are, or you're going to compare them and have to really be able to identify what the differences are. So it's very important to know the difference between like a sales cycle and a sales cadence. Those two are not the same thing, and if you're a beginner, it can be really easy to think those two are interchangeable, but they're not interchangeable. So take the time to really understand the differences between things that seem similar, so when it's time for you to take the exam, it's going to be a no-brainer when you put in your responses. So another thing that's really important is to know the difference between CRM and the sales engagement platform. So I would suggest definitely writing down some examples of which ones are CRMs and which ones are sales engagement platforms, and understanding which each one do. And that will be a great way when you have to type in your responses to basically be able to elaborate more in detail what they are, how you use them, and which ones are like the popular CRMs and things like that. Also, like understanding the sales data platform as well. So just taking your time to really understand that. And like I said, everything that's going to be on a final exam is everything that you learn in CourseCareers. So there's no trick questions. It's very straightforward. So after you take CourseCareers, give yourself enough time to prep, but not too much time, and then hop in and take the exam so the material is still very fresh. So like for me, right after I took CourseCareers, I took like a day or half a day to go back over some of the modules. I didn't go over all of them, but I went back and looked at some of the review practices tests that we had to take through, like some of the quizzes that we had to take. I went back to like review the questions and review the answers so I could make sure I have a great idea of how to answer the questions for the final exam. Another thing that is very important is code calling. Make sure you know how to do a code call and write a prospect code call through email, because that was one of the assignments that I had to do in the exam. So taking time to really practice your code email would be great. So when it comes to the audio responses, it could be easy to ramble on and on, but really take time, look at the question, and do your best to just answer the question and be concise and straightforward. Avoid adding unnecessary words or ramble when you're doing your audio responses. Finish your final exam. The multiple choice questions are going to be graded right away. You're going to get your results back right away for that. But for the short responses and the audio responses, you're not going to get your results right away, because it's going to get sent to someone else to actually review your answers. We'll grade you on how well you answer each question, and then probably in like a day or two you will get your total results to know if you passed or failed the exam. The best part about when you do take the final exam, they give you feedback on what you need to practice on and what material you should go over when they grade each non-multiple choice question. Another thing that was in the final exam is grammar. So make sure you just take some time to practice your grammar and things like that. I feel like I wasn't expecting to see questions pertaining grammar, but those are probably one of the easiest questions. So definitely you don't want to get those wrongs, because every question counts and you don't want to get something so simple wrong. So just take some time, freshen up on your grammar if you have to, but definitely be careful, because those are the ones that actually not graded. So if you made a mistake, like I use my MacBook, and if it's gonna, like, sometimes it'll type in an auto response, and you got to pay attention to some of the extra stuff that auto responses do. So if you know that something shouldn't be there, make sure you go back, erase it, and just do your best to make sure you're doing it manually, because like I said, auto type could mess you up big time when you do the grammar. So just go back and check in and make sure that's all good. Another thing that was on the exam is going over the reading material. Some of them were multiple choice, and some of them require you to write a response on the reading material. Now personally for me, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did not buy those books. I didn't have any extra money to be buying the books, and I guess I could have went online and typed in the book title and got the PDF, but I also didn't have any extra motivation to read 3 other books as well that they suggested. So I really suggest learning going back to CourseCareers and reviewing the quizzes that talks about some of those books, so you can get a little foundation of idea what those books consist of. Because within the final exam, you're probably going to have like maybe 2 questions or 3 questions max, really 2 I think, about certain books, like How to Win Friends or Influence People, like one of those books. So just make sure you have a great understanding of the reason why they recommended those books and the main purpose of those books, and you're gonna do great. Like I said, I didn't read the book at all, and you know, I passed the exam, and I also got the answers right as well. So that is it regarding the final exam for CourseCareers. Like I said, I passed on the first time, and I think that you guys could really do the same. It just requires you to be very consistent in making sure that you understand the key terms. Don't rush through the course, because it's definitely going to show when it's time to take the exam and you don't know any of those words and what those definition means. So you know, write notes if you have to, create flashcards, but make sure you just have a great idea of understanding what a SDR is and how they do their job, and the certain terms that you'll probably hear once you start working in the industry. And for those that are new to my channel, or still trying to decide if you want to take CourseCareers, I explained a lot of that in my first video about when I gave a review of CourseCareers, but the short answer is yes, I definitely recommend it. I think you guys should tap into it. And before you go ahead and like spend your money on the course, I recommend utilizing their free intro course that they have on their website. You don't gotta pay any money, you don't gotta sign up at all. It's free, and they'll give you a good idea if tech sales or SDR is for you. And if you decide that you do want to move forward, make sure you come back to my YouTube channel, and I have a link in my description box with a coupon code for you guys to save some money off. And that is it, you guys. Enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to hear how you guys did on your exam. And I will be posting some more content about the CourseCareers and how things been going for me so far within this journey. I'm going to create another video, but I did land an interview for an SDR role, and I have spoke to a few other people in regards to just the tech space, and I felt like they gave me some good feedback, so I'm going to create separate videos for that. Bye!